Hello friends and followers. Today I'm going to tell you a new story that I hope you like. That the magic is always in your hearts.
Today I am going to tell you a story that you all already know, but this time it has a different ending than usual. It may surprise you. Once upon a time in a very distant place, a little house that was in the middle of the field. Little Red Riding Hood lived in it with her mother. Her father left home when the girl was still very young. Little Red Hood they called her, because she always wore a cape and a hood of that color. He liked to play with all the forest animals, and his pets were a little pig with brown spots and a white rabbit. He spent a lot of time walking along the river bank that passed by his house. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother told her,
"Your grandmother is sick. I have prepared a basket with cakes and a little jar of honey, so that you can take it to her. You'll see how happy she gets."
"Of course, Mom. I also really want to go visit her,"
said the girl, taking the basket. When Little Red Riding Hood was about to leave the house, her mother, with a somewhat serious gesture, warned her.
"Be very careful, darling. Do not entertain yourself with anything and do not talk to strangers. You know that the wolf lives in the forest and is very dangerous. If you see it appear, continue on your way without stopping."
"Don't worry. I will take into account everything you tell me."
And Little Red Riding Hood kissed her mother and walked away down the road, while her mother watched her. When she arrived at the forest, the little girl began the path at a brisk pace, but after a while, she began to get distracted by contemplating the little birds and picking flowers. She didn't realize that someone was watching her from behind an old, leafy tree. Suddenly, she heard a sweet and cajoling voice.
"Where are you going, Little Red Riding Hood?"
The girl was scared when she saw that the person who was speaking to her was a huge wolf.
"I'm going to my grandmother's house, on the other side of the forest. She is sick and I bring her a delicious snack and some flowers to brighten her day."
"That's great. I also live there and I've known your grandmother for a long time. We're friends. I'll give you a race to see who gets there first. We will each go a different path. Do you think you would be able to arrive before me?"
The innocent girl nodded her head. She thought it was a fun idea, and she didn't think the wolf was as dangerous as her mother said.
"Well, then you will go this way, which is shorter, and I, since I have longer legs, will go this other way. We'll meet at your grandmother's house."
"Okay, that seems fair. I'll take the shortest way, and I'm sure I'll beat you."
And the two began to run as fast as they could on both roads, although the truth is that the wolf was much faster than the little girl. Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother was a very nice woman, who must have been very beautiful when she was young. She lived alone in the forest for many years. Her house was rather small, but very charming and cozy. While the wolf and the Little Red Riding Hood arrived at the grandmother's house in their fast run, a hunter who was passing by nearby went to the grandmother and told her,
"Good morning, beautiful lady. What are you doing so alone in the woods?"
This is my house and I have lived here since I was born. Does it seem strange to you? And be careful with that shotgun. Let's see if it's going to shoot itself."
The hunter changed the position of the shotgun and answered the grandmother.
"Don't worry, ma'am. Shotguns don't fire themselves. Could you buy me a glass of water? I've been walking all morning and I'm dying of thirst."
He didn't trust the hunter who had such strange looks, but he couldn't deny him a glass of water.
"Come with me. I have a bottle of cold water." You will love it.
When the hunter got close to the grandmother, he pointed his shotgun at her, saying,
Get inside the house. And don't open your mouth or I'll have to use the gun.
The grandmother, very scared, was not able to say a single word, and listened to the hunter.
Give me all the jewelry and money you have, you don't need them at all.
Look at you, Mr. Hunter. I am a humble woman and I have no money or jewelry. I feed on what the field gives and I don't need anything else.
Then prepare me a good meal. I am starving,
replied the hunter, who seemed very angry. And the grandmother, without question, prepared some fried eggs with bacon with the greatest care. The hunter looked at the plate with the desire to devour it, but first, he made sure that the grandmother could not escape, and he tied her with a rope that he found there. Now he could eat in peace. Meanwhile, the wolf, who was much faster than Little Hood, came panting to Granny's house.
It seems strange to me that Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother is not around here, or sitting in her old chair by the door.
And the wolf went to the door, but it was closed, and began to inspect the house, without finding any trace of the grandmother. Then, approaching one of the windows, the wolf was able to observe what was happening inside the house. Now he understood everything. And opening the window, he slipped inside. When he was inside the house, he slipped behind the furniture so they wouldn't see him. He saw that the hunter had the shotgun resting on the table and was eating so calmly. He got closer and closer, until with a jump, he pounced on the hunter, who didn't even have time to move. The rest, you can imagine. But no, the wolf did not eat the hunter, but paid him with the same coin that he had paid the poor grandmother. He tied him to a chair and turning to him, he said,
Do you think it's nice that a person like you, tall and strong, robs a poor defenseless granny to take what little she has?
The hunter lowered his head and said not a word. The wolf kept talking.
You have been lucky for two reasons. The first is that I am a vegetarian wolf, and the second is that I would be incapable of doing any harm to anyone. If it weren't like that, I would have eaten you in one bite.
And leaving the hunter aside, he ran to untie the poor granny. At that very moment, Little Red Riding Hood was crossing the road that led to her grandmother's house. Not a sound was heard, and there was no sign of the wolf, nor of her grandmother. Then, a cold sweat began to run down her body. She remembered her mother's words, and was about to burst into tears. He was sure that the wolf had tricked him about the race, to do something to his grandmother. Approaching her door, he knocked on it several times. From inside came the unmistakable voice of his grandmother.
Come in, girl. The door is open.
She breathed a sigh of relief and went into the house. Little Red Riding Hood, she couldn't believe what she was seeing, and she couldn't hide her surprised face.
But what is this? Am I late to the party? Have I missed something? And this man who is tied up, who is he?
Sit with us at the table and we will tell you about this exciting adventure. You have the food ready.
I'm thinking that the hunter is taking care of your garden for free for a year. Do you think it's a good idea?
Sounds like a fantastic idea,
answered Little Hood. The hunter looked at them with a grim face.
Granny, what a big mouth you have.
Well, thinking about it, I think it sounds like something else,
said the grandmother. And they all laughed at the same time. I hope you liked this ending and have learned your lesson. And that's the end of the story.
If you like this beautiful story, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave everything you want in the comments. I read them all and I will try to answer you. This will help me to keep creating stories for you. See you soon.